Russia was showing more willingness than Ukraine negotiators in working toward an agreement. And on the flip, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has been trying to mediate on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. He has said despite some progress, big gaps remained between the sides. In a speech at a conference in Jerusalem, Bennett said that the best thing that could happen was for the war to end. He expressed fears that the road to achieving peace was still very long, as there are some fundamental issues on ground. Bennett added that Israel, in his word, together with other friends in the world, would continue trying to bridge the gap and bring an end to the war, end of quote. In business news, Nigeria imported durum wheat worth 1.29 trillion naira in 2021. That's representing a 71.1% increase compared to 756.92 billion naira recorded in the previous year. And that's more than triple the 401.31 billion naira recorded in 2019. This is based on Nigeria's foreign trade data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. According to the NBS report, durum wheat imports accounted for 6.2% of the total import bill recorded in the review year, and that's represented. In entertainment news, singer Simi has become the first Nigerian female artist to reach 100 million streams on Audiomack. She was elated for the historical achievement on the popular global music streaming platform. The Duduke singer expressed gratitude for the honor, praising God and fans for the accomplishment. Audiomack is a free global limitless music streaming and discovery platform that allows artists to share their music and fans to discover new artists, songs, and albums. Kudos. And to sports now, global investment firm Centricus is funding another British bid to buy Chelsea, saying it wants to maintain and support existing management. The Premier League club was put up for sale by Russian owner Roman Abramovich before he was sanctioned following his country's invasion of Ukraine. This latest bid, backed by Centricus, which has £29 billion in assets, features several Chelsea season ticket holders. At least 4 other consortiums have said they have bid to buy the Blues. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I'm Loretta Chiogo. I'll see you again.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent.
I'm about to send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us today. On this episode of Red Carpet, we look back at some of the most memorable and impactful moments from 2021. Let's go. And we begin the show with a look at some of your favorite celebrity couples of 2021. Let's take a look back at who got engaged, who got married, and who split in this wrap-up by Reuters.
At the start of the year, it was announced that actor Zoe Kravitz had filed for divorce from her husband of 18 months, Carl Glusman. In February, star Kim Kardashian filed papers to divorce her rapper husband, Kanye West, or Ye, after almost 7 years of marriage. The filing followed months of rumors that the relationship between the two celebrities was on the rocks. The reality star married West in May 2014 and have 4 children together. Meanwhile, Kim's sister Kourtney Kardashian and Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker announced their engagement this year. The couple had been friends for a long time before becoming a couple and blending their families together. In May, Ariana Grande married her real estate agent boyfriend Dalton Gomez at her home in Montecito, California. Grande and Gomez started dating in January 2020 and announced their engagement that December. The Voice judges and singers Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani tied the knot in July, with Stefani confirming the news on Instagram, writing, "Dreams do come true." Actress, writer, and producer Issa Rae married her longtime partner, Louis Diam, in a private ceremony in France. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck were pictured exchanging passionate kisses in June, apparently confirming rumors that they had rekindled the romance that dominated celebrity media 17 years ago. Bennifer, as the pair have been dubbed, delighted fans when they appeared together at the Venice Film Festival in September, finally confirming the reunion. In a year of great success for pop star Britney Spears, who in November was removed from her 13-year conservatorship, she announced her engagement to longtime boyfriend Sam Asghari.
And now to some music. The year 2021 proved to be a great year for African music, with several artists making history. We spoke with Nigerian record executive Audu Maikori about the accomplishments of African musicians. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, which shut the world down and isolated everyone, African music continued to make waves worldwide. While household names like Wizkid and Burna Boy strengthened their positions on the charts, newcomers such as Tems and CK made a grand entrance. Audu Maikori, founder of Chocolate City Entertainment, spoke to Red Carpet about how African music dominated the world stage in 2021.
Just looking at the huge impact of African music, I think we've reached, this year has been probably the biggest year in the history of African music on a global scale. We had some breakout hits, many breakout hits actually. We saw the continuous rise of Wizkid, sold out shows, sold out concerts around the world, literally a proper world tour. Did probably 10, 11 states in the US, and then did Canada, did a couple of states. Went to London and did a back-to-back 3 days at the O2, sold out consecutively. That is huge. And went on to put out the biggest song literally in the US, the Essence song, and introduced the world to Tems. And Tems has always been like an amazing vocalist, but she just didn't have the platform, so to speak. And Essence, more than any other song, positioned her in a way that people were like, who the hell is this?
Last year, the South African genre Amapiano took over the airwaves and has since dominated dance floors around the world. Mike Corey, whose record label discovered global sensation CK, says African music is taking over as a global sound.
We saw the rise of Amapiano music, which has become a huge movement. We saw CK, our own very CK, with a song that was released almost over a year ago, and it just found new life by TikTok, by just a strange set of circumstances, and became one of the most Shazam songs of 2021. Biggest breakout world song on artist on all the platforms, Spotify, on Apple, and even on Amazon as well. So I think what we've seen is that the world has actually begun to feel the presence of African music, not as a world music sound anymore, but as a proper global sound.
In the aftermath of the Astroworld tragedy, there has been some uncertainty regarding safety at concerts since the resumption of live shows and events after the pandemic lockdowns. We talked to Eddie H, a Senegalese musician known for his dynamic live performances, about the future of live music post-COVID. Eddie H, a lyricist who combines elements of Afrobeat and hip-hop to create his signature sound that he calls Afrohop, has had live performances affected by the pandemic. And while some musicians and promoters have been eager to get back to business, Eddie H says it is important not to rush into things too quickly.
I feel like Astroworld is a perfect case of we've been locked up for too long and there's something to do and like we out. There's no true thought behind it. Obviously, money makers are hungry. They see a lot of opportunity to make some big bank after such a long time. We talk about being able to provide jobs for other people, having events like this. So it's like a big, it's a big deal, and sometimes it could be rushed. And when you have like 50,000 people, it's like, how well was this planned after 2 years off, given everything kind of going on, given the audience itself? Is this a good idea at the moment? Do we have everything locked down to a T?
10 people were killed and hundreds injured when a crowd surge occurred during Travis Scott's headline set. More than 100 lawsuits have been filed by victims of the event, and the criminal investigation is still underway. ADH believes the tragedy will have an impact on future live events for quite some time.
There's probably going to be a lot more structure, like unnecessary checkpoints for certain things, and it's going to be extra. But if it's never happened at one of your events, I don't really see you doing anything out of the ordinary routine as far as like your crowd setup. Like these heavy metal bands, like what you're getting into. Apart from like the promoters and the people organizing these things, you got to know who you're going to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know the style of music you're going to watch creates a certain energy, raging, for example, like you got to know what you're getting yourself into. So you kind of got to be prepared for that. What I don't necessarily agree with is like, I know there were a lot of kids at this Travis Scott thing, and unfortunately there was a 9-year-old, God bless his soul, God bless his family, all the families.
Eddie H is currently working on his next album and planning his next live shows that he hopes will deliver inspiring messages of unity and self-love.
We never harvest. Something that goes on the process. Man like we want to run. Just for the pain of our Real nigga around the city, that no. Y'all want things that I want you to do. Those things that are natural. Like a bedroom, respect on that runway. So let's see, never forget. We all come down to this always rise when I'm around that my life. We got lots of tricks. One of them go out. I got so many that time out. Always be a motherfucker from one baby. Very if you know that ain't my cousin. But if this is alone.
The death of fashion designer Virgil Abloh in November was felt throughout the world. Nigerian fashion designer Bubu Ogisi shared a special tribute to the late designer in this story from AFP. US fashion designer and the artistic director of Louis Vuitton's menswear collection, Virgil Abloh, died at 41 after battling cancer for several years. Abloh, the first black American creative director of a top French fashion house, brought streetwear such as hoodies and sneakers to the catwalk. Nigerian fashion designer Bubu Ogisi credits Virgil for having left behind a huge legacy and inspiring designers throughout Africa and the diaspora.
He left behind a huge legacy. Every step or every decision he made, I guess, was truly inspiring. Even to those who don't really appreciate or really care for Virgil Abloh, would still have to say he is still inspiring in terms of getting to a place where only a few of us as African designers can dream of.
Abloh addressed both environmental and social issues in his work with Louis Vuitton. Before his death, he announced plans to use his partnership with LVMH to expand opportunities for diverse individuals and foster greater equity and inclusion in the fashion industry.
Because a lot of diaspora Africans sort of taken away and really taken away also from their culture, even if they don't live in that certain culture for a number of times. And I guess fashion is the mode in which he used to sort of pay tribute, because I guess the human body is the ultimate canvas, and essentially showing people and telling people with his last collection that this is my work, this is what I'm here for, but I'm never going to forget where I'm from.
Supermodel Naomi Campbell supported African fashion when she walked the runway for Arise Fashion Week at the Nigerian National Day exhibit at Expo 2020 in Dubai. The AP has this story.
African designers showcased their talent and latest designs at Arise Fashion Week, held at Dubai's Armani Hotel and against the backdrop of the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. Originally scheduled for October 2020, it was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Supermodel Naomi Campbell took part in the show set against the celebrations of Nigerian National Day.
Arise Dubai Fashion Week for me it's the platform for supporting the young designers. Why I'm here is to support the young designers from the African continent. Nigeria is from the African continent. This also coincides with the World Expo. So as well as celebrating Arise Fashion Week with the young new designers and the ones that have been established and are out there doing well in the world, we are also supporting Nigerian pavilion at the World Expo.
The supermodel expressed satisfaction with the event and called it an ideal destination for young African designers.
I think it gives young and new designers hope and lets them see there's a place to go, where there's a platform where they can start and achieve their goals and execute their passions. So I feel like this is a great hub for young designers from the continent and outside of the continent that can come and be part of this show year after year.
Organizer Unduka Ubagbena, head of Arise Media Group, says the event aims to show the world that Africa is ready.
We want to tell the world that the time for Africa has come. And we're in New York, we're in Paris, we're in London, now we're in Dubai. And the World Expo is a good time to be here.
After the show, musician Akon entertained the audience with a medley of hits to close out a day full of celebrations.
And with that, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out on voanews.com. We are also on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, where you can watch our videos. Until next time, I want to wish you a happy new year. Goodbye, everyone.
Furniture is one of the most important home accessories. It adds style and elegance beside their primary functional designs that contribute to the beautification and aesthetics of a place. The world production of furniture is estimated at over $350 billion, out of which the Nigeria's market share is 50 billion naira. The furniture industry has improved in Nigeria from just the roadside carpentry to the creative arts of combining wood, metal, cushion to give glamour and beauty to chairs, tables, wardrobes, cabinets, and other household furniture. The market for the furniture industry would always be in demand because everyone needs furniture for countless reasons. In Lagos, there is a furniture market where you find all types of artisans, materials, and tools for furniture making. The market is well coordinated with a chairman and organized rules.
Wíwà láyé ọjà wa yìí ó máa ń lọ bí 70 bí 70 ọdún. Tí mo bá wò dáadáa ọ̀nà karùn-ún níbi tá a wà yìí. A ti kọ́kọ́ wà ní Watchtower ní Ṣómólú. Wọ́n ń pè ibì kan ní Enípákó ní Onípàánù ń bẹ̀ yẹn. Àwa náà lè Nípákó tá wà ń bẹ̀ nígbà náà lọ́hùn. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà yẹn a ti tún wà ní ilé epo Àjíìpù tó wà ń Fádèyí ibi tí bíríìjì ẹlẹ́sẹ̀ wà ń jọ sí. Lẹ́yìn tá a kúrò ń bẹ̀ la ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wá lọ sí Káyọ̀dé níbi táwọn onírin wà nísìn. A kúrò ń bẹ̀ ní 1977 la wá wọ́ síbí báyìí. Ká tó wá débí báyìí ilé kiri pé kí ọjà ó dìgbà tó bá ń yá kán ní ká kúrò lórí ilẹ̀ àwọn ọlọ́dani tó fún wa ńlẹ̀ tàbí ẹbí tó fún wa ńlẹ̀ ló mú kí àwọn bàbá wa àgbà náà lọ́hùn kí wọ́n gbé ìgbésẹ̀ lórí ká gba ilẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó láyé LSDPC. So àtìgbà yẹn la ti wá béèrè fún ilẹ̀ tó jẹ́ pé ó jẹ́ àyè ibi tíjọba yà sọ́tọ̀ fún kátàkárà tàbí iléeṣẹ́ ìdí tó gbé wa níbí ni so ìjọba Lagos State ló fún wa níbí láyé LSDPC. Èmi lálága karùn-ún àwọn alága tán ti lọ ẹ̀yẹn la ní John Oyè bàbá dàgbà wá sọ́jà mọ́ ó di mẹ́ta bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn gbà tí bàbá dàgbà tán wá sọ́jà mọ́ ni Ṣùbẹ́rù Àkànó nana wà tún bọ́ síbẹ̀ àwọn kú ní April 2016 gbàyẹn ló ṣe wá kan èmi Isiaka orí oyè títí dìgbà tá a wá wà yìí kì í ṣe pé a lè lé 105 èèyàn yìí táyìn lóyìnbó ń pè ní 500 jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ní omi ò sọ pé 500 jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ àtẹnírà àtẹníntà a lè 105 lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin a kà wọn ọmọọṣẹ́ ìkọ́ṣẹ́ o tó yẹ pé wọ́n ń kọ́ṣẹ́ furniture upholsterer weather oríṣiríṣi iṣẹ́ tó jẹ mọ́ building materials tó jẹ mọ́ nǹkan kọ́lé torí n ta base lé lórí gan nìyẹn àti pákó plywood oríṣiríṣi nǹkan kọ́lé tó dédé páànù cement kọ́kọ́rọ́ ìṣó gbogbo nǹkan kọ́lé àwọn kan wà tán tún kọ́ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí àwọn kan wà tó yẹ pé ibi náà ti kọ́ ibi náà tún wà 100,000 tètè ẹ̀ ní àjùbá ń lọ àpọ̀ lórí tẹ environmental tó sọ wàá rí i pé ńgbà tí wọn náà débi láàárọ̀ yìí ò lè wọlé a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ environmental lágo 7 a parí ẹ̀ lágo 9:30 tó ra nígbàgbọ́ nú Ọlọ́run tá a bá dúró lágo 9:30 yẹn kò sẹ́ni tó gbọ́dọ̀ tajà hàn ní tàwọn ò ní rà environmental gbogbo ọjà ti mọ́ so mùsùlùmí á gbàdúrà àwọn ẹgbẹ́ oníyàjọ nígbàgbọ́ àwọn náà á gbàdúrà ìyẹn ló máa gbé adago 10 kálukú tó padà sẹ́nu iṣẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ètò tíjọba filẹ̀ bọ́jà wa yìí ṣe tó àti bó ṣe rí o lè rí ibi tán gbé ń ta ọtí bí tó dẹ́ni tó ti mu tí yó ó lè hùwàkíwà àgbà kéèyàn ò jalè ẹni bá ti jalè a máa lè kúrò lọ́jà ni àdẹ̀gbà kéèyàn ó jà gbogbo nǹkan tó wù kó lè rí bó ṣe bí ẹni tó wá fẹjọ́ sùn alága tó bá ti dọ́dọ̀ alága pe àwọn ọmọ ìgbìmọ̀ agbọ́tọ̀ tún agbátòsí nítorí bá yẹ ká fi ṣàtúnṣe bẹ̀ á dẹ̀ ṣe a lè dẹ́ lómi ìlẹ́jọ́ pé ókè lọ gbélé ọ̀sẹ̀ 2 ẹni tí ń tajà ojoojúmọ́ tó mọ tó ń rí lójúmọ́ ta ni kó lọ gbélé ọ̀sẹ̀ 2 ọ̀sẹ̀ kan tó bá padà dé sẹ́mọ̀ para àárọ̀ n tó mú jà wájọ́ sí tírú ẹ̀ bá ti ń bọ̀ á mọ̀ pé kó ń lọ fẹjọ́ sùn ó ń lọ nà àbáyọ so ara àwọn ètò tán bàbá rẹ̀ ti làálẹ̀ nìyẹn ó dẹ̀ wà bẹ́ẹ̀ títí dè ní ìní àbí ó dẹ̀ ṣe máa rí lọ náà nìyẹn àgbà owó àgbà pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ àwọn èèyàn bí kì í ṣe pé irú ilẹ̀ nísìnyí ìdọ̀tí tán bá lò nígbà bá fẹ́ sanwó lọ́mà ṣe mọ̀ pé ó di dandan so à ń gbà yẹn lówó tí ò ga àwọn èèyàn lára tó jẹ́ pé kò tiẹ̀ ní wọ́n lára ńgbà tí a ti wà bá a ṣe fi wà yẹn kò sówó kan tá à ń gbà kọjá owó ìsọ̀tán bá rẹ́ǹtì tán sanwó ẹ̀ lọ́dún kò sí owó túláàsì kan tó ìnájà kan àbẹ̀wọ̀n rajà kan bí wàá lè sọ pé wọ́n ń gbà lọ́wọ́ àgbowó car park àgbowó ilé ìgbẹ́ ilé ìtọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀dẹ̀ la ní tó yẹ pé tí ọ̀gán bá tiẹ̀ débẹ̀ wàá fẹ́ lè sùn bẹ̀ pé ṣébì náà dẹ̀ lẹ pé nílé ìgbẹ́ lẹ pé nílé ìwẹ̀ nílé ìtọ̀ tá a tọ́jú gbogbo ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí nǹkan tí Lagos State fẹ́ gbogbo àdẹ̀ náà wá ń yẹ̀ wá wò Lagos State yẹn wọn yé wá wọn wá láti Aláùsá wọn wá láti local government ẹgbẹ́ nípákó ní Lagos State gan àwọn gan tún wá tó dáa jẹ́ kókó kan nínú ọjà tó jẹ́ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ Lagos State Building Materials and Building Materials Association ajẹ́kókó kan so bá a ṣe ń tò díẹ̀ nìyẹn tọ́lọ́ndẹ̀ ń fún wa tó challenge ta ní pọ̀ díẹ̀ ó kàn yẹ pé bórílẹ̀-èdè wa ṣe fi ń lọ ni tí gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọn náà ṣe rí ńgbà tẹ wọnú ọjà àwọn iṣẹ́ tó ń jáde ń bí báyìí ọ̀pọ̀ ẹ̀ ní tán bá gbé dé ta tán bá sọ fún wọn pé wọ́n import ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ní jiyàn torí aláwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n kájú ẹ̀ anything furniture bó jẹ́ ìtàn fi irin ṣe bó jẹ́ ìtàn fi gi ṣe bó jẹ́ ìtàn fi board plywood ṣe ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀pọ̀ nǹkan tá à ń wí ló nídìí ọ̀pọ̀ owó materials tá a dẹ̀ ń lò jù local materials ní tó yẹ jẹ́ pé tán bá ṣe finishing ẹ̀ tán tiẹ̀ tún dájú tìlú tán gbé alátòkèrè lọ irú ẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti kó jáde láàárọ̀ yìí wọ́n náà pàdé nǹkan tán jáde lọ nígbà tí wọ́n ṣí géètì tá a pàdé environmental lẹ́ẹ̀kan so gbogbo orú àwọn kan báwọn yẹn ṣùgbọ́n kíjọba ó gbégbèsè àti kún wa lọ́wọ́ kí nǹkan yẹn lè di tí ó kárí gbogbo Áfíríkà tí ò ní mọ ní Nàìjíríà nìkan bọ́jà wa ṣe fi rí yìí láti Àbújá àwọn kan wà tó yẹ pé ní showroom wọn ibi náà ti wá ń produce sales wọn ọjà tán tà ibi náà ti ń ṣe tán lọ kó sí showroom náà báyìí ti tan náà sí adúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run fi ń pọ́n wa ló dẹ̀ fi ń yìn wá so tíjọba bá kún wa lọ́wọ́ nípa pé kán finance wa béèyàn bá ṣe lówó ṣòwò mọ́ ni a ṣe jèrè mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà dẹ̀ ni a ṣe rágbéga lẹ́nu òwò yẹn tó wò ní nìyẹn wàá rí i pé ẹni tó ń fi 1,000 ṣòwò èrè ẹ̀ ò lè dàbí ẹni tó ń fi 10,000 ṣe ẹni tó ń fi 1 million ṣòwò a lè fi wẹ́n tó ń fi 50 million ṣe béèyàn bá ṣe lówó ṣòwò mọ́ náà lè rí ẹ̀ ó ṣe pọ̀ tó náà dẹ̀ ni ayé àfi mọ̀ sí.
Well, I've been in the business for a very long time because I started the business with my dad around 1985. I'm still in secondary school then. At earlier stage, I had the mind of be a first man, but my dad said he want me to go into business because he have a lot of achievement that he made in doing the business. And as time goes on, I later joined my dad in doing the business. I later have interest in doing the wood business. I give glory to Almighty God because the business is a good business, and if you can try to have interest in what you are doing, at least I know that you never regret in doing whatever you are doing. We have a lot of different type of woods that is even uncountable, most especially in southwest here. We get wood from different states in Nigeria here. Starting from anything from Ijebu, the Shagam, Ore, Bini, Ondo, Idori, Owo, Ifon, Sobe, Agbanikaka Empire in Onwa, all that kind of. We get wood in many different states in Nigeria here. Just for example, we have mahogany. Mahogany is a redwood and they use for furniture wood, just like bed, shelf, door, architrave, and so on. They use for many things. We also have black afara, we have mazonia, we have teak, we have abora, we have idigbo, we have eku, and so on and so forth. And that's what we are even be using for a very long time in Nigeria here before they started bringing the imported board and all these things. The wood serve more longer than the board. The board have different type. You have the one that lasts longer, and which we have the one that don't even last longer. But I still prefer, due to me, I still prefer the wood than using the board. If at all, if I'm doing anything in my house, I always prefer using the wood. The difference there is not very much, but difference between the local one, the local board, and the wood that we use here, the wood lasts longer than the imported board, and most of this imported board, they process the wood here, which they even take down to that place to go and made as board, and they'll still bring it back for us here. That due to the government, because the government supposed to even work on that, which if at all, if something will even happen like that, what we have here, they're supposed to produce it here. Not that they will take it over there and then later do the processing and then later bring it for us here, which is not even an idea. I didn't even support that. We encounter a lot of challenges on that because bringing the imported boards down to Nigeria make the wood business to go down, which at least the way we even enjoy doing the business, the wood business before, is quite different from the way we enjoy it now. In Nigeria, yeah, some people know the quality of the wood, which they still patronize us. Most especially, some of my father's customers that they are in old age, they normally even tell their children and most of their colleagues and family that if you want to do something like this, it's even more better for you to go for wood, because now people are now coming back to get the wood and to use it for whatever they want to use it than before that. Everybody just faced the imported material that this was, but because what they see that they gain a lot, and the time of using the Nigeria something here, they see that it's even more get lasting than using the imported wood. Under the normal procedure, you're supposed to learn whatever you want to do. Probably because if you don't even learn, you will not be able to go far in doing it, because along the line, you see people that they will tell you that they want to supply you wood. At the end of the day, they will just collect money from you, and which the something will not be done. But once you learn what you want to do, after all, if anybody even want to bring what is not supposed to bring into the business, you say, no, that's not the way I'm supposed to go. This is the right way I'm supposed to go. It depends on how the person have the sense and the knowledge of learning. Because some people may even be there between 1 year, they will capture whatever they want to capture about learning about the wood or to do a wood business. But some people, they have a dull brain. Maybe they'll use about 3 to 4 years.
Wàá rí i pé mo sọ ọ́nà ọ̀rọ̀ mi pé à ń tà à ń rà ni. Àwọn ọlọ́dàn ni tí wọ́n wá rẹ́ǹtì ṣọ́ọ̀bù bí ọ̀pọ̀ wọn ni wọ́n na pàápàá àwọn kéékèèké ìsìn ìmí parí ní polytechnic àwọn tó parí lọ́fà tó parí Yaba tó parí káàkiri tẹ́ pé bíi náà tí wọ́n á ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọn. So àwọn wọ̀nyẹn ń gbé sórí social media but àwa gẹ́gẹ́ bíi bàbá ọjà tẹni ó lọ́jà àwọn ò tí ì wọ social media tó mọ̀ pé ayé jọ́sí ńlòbí ń sọ fọ́mọ pé iṣẹ́ ìdandan ni kò kọ́ níbi tí ayé dé nísìnyí iṣẹ́ tó bá wu ọmọ láti kọ́ nígbà tó ọmọ báyìí ti sọ fún ìyá àti bàbá ẹ̀ pé iṣẹ́ yìí ló wu òun kọ́ àwọn tó mọ̀ wá ń bí báyìí tán mọ irú nǹkan tó ń jáde ń bí àwọn náà mọ̀ wá sọ́dọ̀ ọ̀gá tí wọ́n mọ̀ tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lábẹ́ àkóso ọjà títí wa tírú ọ̀gá yẹn bá ti wá gbọmọṣẹ́ yẹn á jẹ́ káwa tá a já lákòóso ọjà ó mọ̀ pé ọmọọmọṣẹ́ kan wá fóun o iṣẹ́ báyìí tó fẹ́ kọ́ rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tó fẹ́ ṣe rẹ̀ á dẹ̀ fàdúrà sí pé kán máa lọ ṣe irú àwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn pọ̀ tó jẹ́ pé ńgbà kọ́ṣẹ́ tán ibi náà ti tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn náà tán bá ti kọ́ṣẹ́ yẹn èyí tó bá ráyè síbi á dúró ń bí èyí tí ò ráyè bọ̀tọ̀pọ̀ wọn gan náà ń dúró ń bí torí wọ́n mọ nǹkan tí ibi ń bí ẹ sì mọ̀ pọ́rọ̀ ṣẹ́rè ó kò èèyàn mọ̀ tán bọ́n bá kọ́ ṣiṣẹ́ mi tó bá dàbí pé ó fẹ́ pa wọn lórí asáré lọ fún bọ́ọ̀gá tó kọ́ wọn àwọn ọ̀gá tó pọ̀ mí sọ́mọ pé ọ̀tọ̀ lọ̀gá ọ̀tọ̀ tó ní ọ̀gá so wọ́n pọ̀ mí báyìí bẹ́ẹ̀ ìgbà tí state government fún wa nílẹ̀ ń bí ọ̀pọ̀ nǹkan náà máa fún wa ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà tán tiẹ̀ ti fún wa nílẹ̀ tá a ti ń rí bí tajà wa rajà wa àwa náà ò béèrè mọ́ òbọ̀ tó bá gbé wa lọ́la à ń retí ẹ̀ o tó dáadéhùn wa ni wọ́n máa fún wa ní transformer tó máa fún wa níná ìgbà tán ò fún wa àwa la lọ rà fúnra wa wọ́n láwọn ò fún wa ní tar road àwa la mọ̀ bá ń ṣe ń ṣe ọ̀nà wa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tó fi dórí omi but bí náà ṣe ń wá ìgbà tí nepa tí nàìjíríà ń rí bákan láti ìgbà kan tí náà ò déédé ọ̀pọ̀ wa láti ra generator ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ yẹn torí ń gbé yẹn bá gbaṣẹ́ níṣẹ́ tí nepa fún wa níná tó dẹ̀ lásìkò tó dá fún eníṣẹ́ ò ní fẹ́ gbọ́ pé iná ni ò sí ó mú ká pọ̀ wa ra generator gbogbo àwọn ọmọ táwọn wí gbogbo àwọn ọ̀gá wọn yìí náà ní generator wọ́n fi ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọn.
The furniture market is not without its challenges. The unavailability of raw materials and the constant lack of power supply does not just affect the furniture industry, but the Nigerian manufacturing industry as a whole.
Challenges pọ̀ gan-an níbi iṣẹ́ yìí. Ìgbà míì wà tó yẹ pé iná máa disturb wa. A ní rí iná ṣiṣẹ́. Generator tá dẹ̀ ń lò kò powerful bí iná. Ó ti yé yín. So àwọn challenges tá máa ń face tá máa ń dojú kọ lórí iṣẹ́ nìyẹn. So táwọn oníṣẹ́ bá dẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ fẹ́ gbéṣẹ́ kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣojú pé ká wá miss láti fi parí iṣẹ́ yẹn. Iná generator náà lálẹ́ lè lò.
Nípa bá a ṣe ń sanwó gẹ́gẹ́ bí olórí àti ìgbìmọ̀ ẹni bá ti múná nínú wọn torí gbogbo wọn kọ́ ló ń lo ná ìbá àwọn tó ń lo ná nínú wọn àti ní levy tí a fi wọ́n sí orí ẹ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ ti mọ̀ páwọn láti sanwó yẹn a tún wá ṣe débi pé ìjọba ní ká máa lọlé láago 6 tá a bá lọlé tán àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ kan wà tí a sẹ́ẹ̀tì kalẹ̀ hàn tó bí hàn 8 àwọn èèyàn ní lọlé láago 6 wọ́n á yí ká gbogbo ọjà a dẹ̀ ṣe àwọn ṣúìsì kan síta tó yẹ pé òun ló control gbogbo nǹkan téèyàn ń lò ní workshop ẹ̀ tó ní on and off so àwọn gbìmọ̀ tí wọ́n máa patrol yẹn gbogbo nǹkan tí fuse tán ṣe síta yẹn tó ti ní on and off yẹn náà máa wò tán bá ti rẹ́ni tó gbàgbé tiẹ̀ ńgbà tó ń lọ lé ó wà ní on ńgbà tó ń lọ bóyá ó pẹ́ kó tó palẹ̀ mọ́ wá ń sáré jáde lọ pé kí gbìmọ̀ ọjà má mú òun kò náà ti pa àwọn gbìmọ̀ 6 8 yẹn àwọn máa lọ wọ́n máa pa àwọn èèyàn kúrò lọ́jà nìkan bíi 20 or 6:30 yóòjúmọ́ dẹ̀ nìyẹn àfijọ́ Sunday nìkan tá a bá wá yóòjúmọ́ là ń ṣe yẹn gbogbo wọn yẹn náà n tó ti ṣe wá rí ó jẹ́ ká gbẹ́ bùrú ọ̀rọ̀ kámọ̀bàrógun iná mọ́ ni a dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run láti gbà náà ti pé bóyá èèyàn dẹ̀ ń jalè ò jalè a lè pọ̀ tó yìí ká mọ̀ mọ̀ rí ọmọ ẹ̀yìn 12 péré ni Jésù ní tí Júdásì ẹyọ kan ya nǹkan mọ́ lọ́wọ́ ká mọ̀ àṣọ bá a ṣe pọ̀ tó yìí bá a bá tiẹ̀ wá gbúrò orú ẹ̀ àwọn olè pé kọ́mọṣẹ́ ó jí bọ́ọ̀dù ọ̀gá kó jí ṣó tàbí kó tọ́ bọ àpò ọ̀gá àbí wọ́n fi fóònù síbì kan ó wo bí kò réèyàn kankan ó mú irú àwọn olè bẹ́ẹ̀ ni tán bá rẹ̀ ti lè mú lọ́sàn-án bẹ́ẹ̀ tán mú wá kò sí rẹ̀ lóru torí àwa ò sí lọ́jà mọ́ ọ̀dẹ́dẹ̀ ti wà but lọ́sàn-án tán bá ti mú wá bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn á pe àwọn ọmọ ìgbìmọ̀ òfin ti wà bí mo ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ mutí lọ́jà wa ń bì èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ jalè èèyàn dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ jà so ẹni bá ti jalè òwe tá àṣà táwọn ń dá fún ni pé ó ti di irú ẹ̀ kalẹ̀ ó ti fòṣù ká lérí kẹgbẹ́ ó kàn gbèrú ká sì síta ni ẹni bá ti jalè ń lọ ni bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ni ó bá mutí.
The sector needs to be empowered because it has a great potential to provide not just employment but contributor to internal revenue for the country.
Across the world, 1 in 3 women has been bitten, coerced into sex, or abused by people they know, love, and trust. Here in Nigeria, 1 in 5 women has been a victim of abuse. Gender-based violence is the leading cause of death and disability of women between the ages of 19 to 44. Queen James, not her real name, a 47-year-old writer based in Lagos, was married off at 17. She barely knew the man who was to become her husband.
I just finished from secondary school, and my parents were like, you have to marry, that they have somebody for me. I tried to argue that I want to go back to school. My parents said they don't have money for me to further education, so I didn't have any option than to accept.
Queen enjoyed the first decade of her marriage. Her husband paid for her university education, and they had 3 children together. In 2002, Queen's sister-in-law claimed she was a witch. Her husband believed it and turned against her. She suffered financial deprivation and domestic violence.
While I was in school, everything was going well until the senior sister came into the house. The sister kept telling him different stories, that he see a revelation, I'm going to kill him, I want to give him stroke. Now, at a point, he now told him that in fact I'm a witch, that I'm going to kill him if he doesn't send me out of the house. This man started beating me every day. If he has small problem in the office and come back, the sister will tell him, it's your wife. He wants them to sack you from work.
The United Nations defines violence as any act that results in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. Domestic violence is violence that occurs in a domestic setting, such as a marriage or cohabitation, committed by people in an intimate relationship against the other person.
Every night, he will squeeze my neck, tell me to confess all the wicked thing I'm doing to him, all the wicked thing I'm doing to the children, that there's a revelation I want to, kill my children. Another day he comes and they say that I've already made a plan to kill him and take over his property, that I should tell him why I want to kill him. Everything was just like, like a dream to me. He did not allow me to go to shop. I only go and buy things, and the girl that was in the shop was the one selling at a point. He now locked up the shop, came back to the house. When I returned back to the house, I started looking for work. Anywhere I want to go and work, he will go and tell them not to employ me.
Like many women, Queen did not file for a divorce or leave her abusive relationship. She feared for her safety and the welfare of her children and decided to endure the misery. One day in 2005, Queen's husband did more than beat her. He armed himself with a pestle and broke her bone.
It was even my husband that used a piston, you know, this mortar handle, and hit on my leg. My leg was broken, so I managed to my sister's place. My sister took me to the hospital. When I got there, they did x-ray. They said I have bone fracture. I called my parents. They said they should send me to the village. I went. They took me to hospital where they did my bone. I was there for 3 months.
That abuse contravened the Protection Against Domestic Violence Law of Lagos State 2007. The law prohibits violence against any person. It also empowers a police officer to arrest persons suspected of committing violent offenses. In addition, it directs the police to render assistance to victims of domestic violence. More than 4 billion naira was allocated to the police for travels and transport in Nigeria's 2005 national budget. But when Queen visited the police to get a report, officers demanded 6,000 naira as transport fare. She also claims the police officers accepted a bribe from her husband to dismiss the case.
I quite remember one of them saying that they have to treat that case very well because the man has paid a lot for the case, meaning they've collected money.
A 2019 survey by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, reports that the Nigerian police force is the most corrupt institution in Nigeria. The report stated that a bribe is paid in 54% of interactions with the police, and that there is a 63% probability that an average Nigerian will be asked to pay a bribe each time he or she interacted with the police. With the police allegedly eating from the palm of her former husband, they accused her of attempted murder, arrested her sister, and he served her divorce papers.
Made a statement that armed robbers invaded his house. They went away with a property worth 2.5 million, with a cash of 180,000, attempted murder and all that. They shoot gun, they shoot the sister on the head. I said, this is not true. Okay, I gave my own statement. When I gave my own statement, they were now dragging me to cell. So I shouted, I was pleading for help. Before I know it, they came, they handcuffed me this time around. And they showed me arrest warrants, and that in my arrest warrant, no bail. That is how they took me to cell.
Her experience went downhill from there. The police turned around to arrest a victim who approached them for protection and locked her up at Kirikiri Maximum Prison for almost 3 weeks.
Do you know that when the police, my senior sister was seeing period, police women could not even help, even when we were begging them, please, this lady is on her period. Can you help us bring tissue? It did not bring. And there are other women like that. The place was smelling. There was nothing. I think she had to use her hair tie to try and wrap and use. The police are very rude. They don't take care of their inmates at all. They don't want to know whether what they have accused you of is true or is false.
These details expose a breach of fundamental rights to dignity of the human person, stipulated in Section 34 of the Nigerian Constitution. We put these allegations of corruption and human rights abuse in police custody to the Nigerian police force.
It's a professional misconduct. Once I get the facts, like every other professional misconduct of our men, we do allow it to go unattended to. So let's do that. As this one now, the victim, let them get across to me. They can meet the DC, the Commissioner of Police. So can put up the attention to me, to the officers, so we take action. We don't condone anything that is unprofessional unless it's not brought to our knowledge. So in this case now, don't let me get the facts and to monitor it. I will not disappoint you. All those officers that have done that, one way or the other, found culpable, they will face a different procedure. And prescribed punishment should be meted out to them.
With the intervention of a non-governmental organization, Project Alert, Queen was set free. But she has not seen her children ever since.
It was during this period that I met with Project Alert on violence against women. They took over the case, they stood by me, went through the case, went for 7 years. We finished the case after 7 years and I was set free. Meanwhile, my children was taken from me from the time the pushed me out of that house. I did not have access to my children. Until now.
Josephine Chukwuma is the executive director of Project Alert. She condemns Nigeria's police force for breaking the domestic violence law of Lagos State 2007 and calls for these reforms in the force.
Is about the system not working. And why is the system not working? First and foremost is the issue of funding. What are they given? What funding do they get to operate? You know, and then the capacity, the training of their officials, how professional are they? You need officers that are trained and well-resourced to respond to cases of sexual and gender-based violence.
Like many women, Queen now wears the scars of a broken leg, a broken marriage, and suffers the consequence of a broken justice system.
The Sahel extends almost 6,000 kilometers, 3,700 miles along the southern edge of the Sahara, from the Horn of Africa on the east to the western Atlantic coast. There's little rainfall in the Sahel, and farmers struggle to eke out a living in some of the harshest agricultural conditions on Earth. As climate change brings more intense droughts and degrades land in the Sahel, intercommunal violence over dwindling resources has increased. Much of the conflict is between herders and farmers who vie against each other to use the land for their own purposes. Some in the region have joined terrorist groups, militants linked to Islamic State and Al-Qaeda, who ride into villages on motorbikes and attack civilians indiscriminately. They wreak havoc and make parts of the region uninhabitable for civilians. While weak states and lack of development are big factors in the conflict, climate change is rarely discussed beyond the level of analysts and warnings from the UN. Unlike terrorists on motorbikes, climate change is a cause of the conflict people on the ground cannot see. But it is there. We travelled to Dori in northeastern Burkina Faso, where people are living on the front line of war and climate change. We wanted to find out how the invisible enemy of climate change is affecting people's lives and driving them from their homes. But first, we had to get there. Dori is the capital of Burkina Faso's war-torn Sahel province and home to thousands displaced by the conflict. The road from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital, to Dori is dangerous because of IEDs and pop-up terrorist checkpoints. Just 5 kilometers outside Dori, terrorists have attacked civilians and UN vehicles multiple times this year. Bagaye Lamizana grew up in Burkina Faso. Today she's based in Bonn, Germany, as project officer for the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification.
Climate change is a kind of invisible enemy in the Sahel
conflict, UK Ministry of Defense said that 60 million people will migrate from degraded land, part of Africa, if nothing is done. I think neighboring countries and Europe can see this migration affecting them.
Migration manifests itself in different ways in the Sahel. Some people, as farming becomes impossible, move to the cities in hope of finding work, but often they end up with low-paying jobs or living in poverty. Some of those migrants in turn begin to move further afield, often to Europe. They take trafficking routes through Niger, Algeria, Libya, and then take boats across the Mediterranean. The crisis in the Sahel has displaced nearly 3.5 million people, according to the UN. We met Zara Ureta, living in a host community on the edge of Dori. She's one of the 1.3 million internally displaced people in Burkina Faso. Zara came to Dori from Arbinda, a town about 60 kilometers away, where extremists regularly terrorized the communities, killing men, women and children. An attack on Arbinda in August left more than 80 people dead. She describes the raid that led her to flee Arbinda 2 years ago.
Il n'y a pas c'est comme, puisqu'on pensait même qu'on ne va même pas sortir, puisqu'il y a deux fois, il y a des balles perdues là même, c'est pas facile quoi. Voilà. En tout cas, c'est qu'on pensait là, on pensait que c'était bon, la fin du monde seulement, puisque les bruits de feu là, c'était trop. On a fui rentrer dedans, jusqu'à, bon, les feux, bon, on n'entendait plus le coup de feu. Maintenant, on est sorti au dehors. Quand on est sorti au dehors, bon, on entendait des nouvelles qui n'est pas bon en tout cas. Ce qu'on a tiré plus de... Ce jour-là, on a tiré plus de 18 personnes. Mais tout ça s'était passé, c'est dans le marché, puisque c'était un jour de marché. Ils ont rentré la première fois. Puisque ça fait que moi-même, je ne me sens pas. J'ai des ulcères, ça fait même. Deux fois, même si j'entends cri ou bien quelque chose comme ça, ça me rappelle de ce qui s'est passé à Arbinda. Je suis une femme mariée, j'ai 5 enfants. Bon, deux fois aussi, en tout cas, c'est que je fais le commerce, je fais le levage aussi. Bon, je fais travaux de ménage, travail de ma famille. Je m'occupe de mon mari et de mes enfants aussi.
In the years before she fled Arbinda, she noticed the weather starting to change. It diminished usable land and forced the community to change too.
Avant, il pleuvait, mais aujourd'hui, en tout cas, il ne pleut pas. Les gens mangeaient en famille, quoi. Et puis surtout, les enfants respectaient les grands. Les grands aussi respectaient les enfants. Les gens venaient, ils soutenaient. Par exemple, les baptêmes comme ça, les gens venaient, ils soutenaient.
Zara says that tensions between herder and farmer communities have increased, shattering the unity that once existed. Salem is also a migrant who fled terrorism. Like thousands of others in Burkina Faso, he's joined a state-backed militia group known as the Volunteers for the Defence of the Homeland. They act as auxiliaries and local guides for the military, but they've also been accused of carrying out extrajudicial killings against civilians they believe are linked to terrorists.
Pagla kam koda me sakda gulo sakda wala kodo butoto sakda pihla la terroriste huwa wa baras kalatin ko jere gulo kalatin gole ko kalatin ko abkin ha ton pil sora kom la ko yudu la nimbana e kalatin karmi lo tori yi kalibe terroriste namba hon ton nimbuide libra nimba ran tar ton pisla ton ko ta songre ton kami be pisi ton ay te yo rapport ton ka yo rapport ton ni won ta yo rapport wakat le nem tin tin da bage da wa bi kun lore tiam ta mi ti ka wa ne ba jin kan yi kan lore la be ya tie se ye yam ka mi Kita pun wat na zabu na kami ngati fo bang dot na zaban fo. Pise model la katin bangi. Ab se sa kana na kami ngan waton na bangam te bam la wata. La problem am pam ton sini sa. Ya lingri. Le problème de l'embuscade, l'embuscade, on ne rien, on dit qu'on va, là, il y a un moment. On a pang la rodo, la tempo, on va rien. C'est ça, on a un sam, on peut faire. Par la tonne cahier, ton hand, il y a des tonnes de tiens, n'a j'ai tiens.
Having lived in Burkina Faso for 2 years now, I've borne witness to some of the worst effects of climate change anywhere in the world. It's a big factor in this country's conflict. Step outside of Ouagadougou and into the countryside and you'll find vast numbers of internally displaced people living in extreme poverty. There are IEDs on the roadside, terrorists roam the countryside freely. The state is unable to provide security with an overstretched military and people are living in fear. It seems where people clamour for resources diminished by climate change, they go into fight or flight mode.
For those who want to fight, it means joining terror groups. Those groups mostly do not have a religious ideology as their primary aim. Instead, they're financially motivated. They're looking for resources to survive, resources that are being diminished by climate change. For others, like Salem, the effect of climate change means joining a local self-defense militia to try and fight back against the militants. But even he had to leave his hometown, just like Zara Oretta. Resources are simply becoming too scarce, and it's too unsafe to stay. All of them are bound by the same thing, the enemy they cannot see, the man-made warming of the planet. Climate change contributes to conflict, and conflict leads to migration on an unprecedented scale in the Sahel. Analysts say the Sahel is a prototype for what will soon start happening in other parts of the globe as climate change continues and nothing is done. But aside from the devastation, people in the Sahel want to take back control of their futures.
What is the narrative of the Sahel which we could put out there? The Sahel is not only the land where it's a black doom and dying. It's a land of opportunities, having the two faces of the coin, not only the dark one, but also the lightened one. It's a region where you had the great kingdoms. It's a region where you have a vibrant youth. It's a region where you have a massive natural resources. Climate change is not just happening in the Sahel or in Africa. It's a global issue. And it's undermine health, it undermine agriculture, peace, security, in employment, and even economy. So by bringing together and intervening the political will with the action on the ground, we could really change a bit the narrative of the Sahel and give hope.
Ce que, en tout cas, moi, je pense tôt ou tard, en tout cas, il y aura la paix. Et moi-même, je souhaite que la paix règne sur cette terre. C'est ce que, en tout cas, je prie Dieu chaque fois et que je demande à Dieu que la paix règne pour que toute personne déplacée puisse retourner dans son coin et que la vie continue comme avant.
Tondo kota wende, ti tondo kamba. To lebaran dik tondo ha ton naure. Bala tondo ya buri kyonde buri kimbi. La patrie ou la mort nous vaincrons.
Zamani ushanga ambayo tulikuwa tunashona, ushanga alikuwa anashona, ninashonea hii kidole, ninashonea masikio, ninashonea shingo. Hatuna biashara yoyote ya kuwa tunauza ushanga. Utauzia wapi? Sina juu pahali ambapo najua. Hata tulikuwa hatujui kwanza ushanga unauzwa. Tuuzie nani?
Kina mama wa Kimasai alikuwa atoke afanye kazi kwengine, maana kuna majukumu ya nyumbani. Yeye ndio anatafuta kuni, yeye ndio anatafuta maji, yeye ndio anaenda sokoni kununua chakula ya watoto. Kazi ya mzee ni kung'ang'ana na mifugo. Najua mifugo iko mara ngapi? Mara 3. Kuna ng'ombe, kuna mbuzi, kuna ndama wale wadogo. Sasa kazi ya waume ni kazi ya mifugo peke yao. Kwa hiyo sio rahisi mama atoke aende afanye kazi kwengine, maana mzee akitoka kama anaenda kung'ang'ana na mifugo yake, anayobaki pale nyumbani ni mama. Kwa hiyo si rahisi apate nafasi ya kwenda kufanya kazi.
Mama tu ni kukaa tu kuangalia mali na kukamua na kupika basi. Mzee alikuwa anashughulika mambo zingine sote.
Akishika ng'ombe mmoja ama 2 na ana mahali nzuri anafuga, kwa miaka 10 utakuja kuta hiyo ng'ombe 2 imefika ng'ombe 50. Maana ndio kazi yao. Lakini sasa kulingana na hali ya anga vile ilivyo, imekuwa ngumu pia wafuga hivyo.
There was a lot of slash and burn agriculture in this area. People could just cut down forests. We had natural water pans in the forests, but those water pans have already dried up. We had some rivers which were flowing down from the top of the hill, and that water could stay for a longer time. But these days, those rivers are no longer there. This is because of the change of weather patterns, and it's because people have destroyed the forest.
Sasa hivi huwezi kupata mzee yako na ng'ombe 100 hapa. Kwa mfano mimi ndio nawaongoza. Niko na bibi 2. Niko na wakasa wanangu, bibi za vijana wangu 4, kwa hiyo jamii yote kuna mama ni 6 na ng'ombe haifiki hata 20. Silikufa hata imebaki kama ng'ombe 15 hivi. Sasa una shida ukigawanya hizo ng'ombe 15 kwa hao kina mama kwa kila nyumba pale.
Anyasa na lenyorro anya na ribanga samu kutunyabu anyebo nwenga Musa kwa juu kasi nyingine, kasi yake tu ni ya mfugo. Ikitaka chakula mpaka ause mfugo. Sasa hizo mfugo ndio hizo sasa hausiki. Sasa tutabaki tu kuangaliana na hao wa zetu. Ndio sasa naweza patia ruhusa, si ndio nimekuja sasa kupatia ruhusa sasa. Aenda afanye hizo mamradi, ndio sasa tuangalia kama atapata kitu kidogo ya kulete nyumbani. Halete chakula nyumbani. Hiyo shida ya mume wangu vile amekuja paka akaja kaaga, imeletwa ni hiyo. Kumbe kitu ambayo unaizamini, unaifanya kama mtoto. Mzee wangu ameanza peresha hapo, na mwisho wake amekuja kwangu kuchukuliwa ni hiyo peresha. Amejamu tu, kumpeleka Voi hapa na ikawa ya kwake imeisha. Na peresha imekuja kwa ile mifugo yako, watoto kama hawa wote. Ng'ombe zimeisha, nitawapa nini? Tunenda tukashonee wazungu hizi bangili. Gari za wazungu zinakuja kama hapa, maana ilikuwa gari za wazungu zinakuja. Unaweka pale,
unanunuliwa penginepo, maana penginepo una nyoo moja ni shilingi 500 wala shilingi 300. Unakimbia, unajua mtoto wako atakula nini? Atakula nini?
Mwanaume sasa Kimasai sasa akifika mahali yeye anachua watoto, aisee, hiyo ndio inakuwa ngumu. Lakini sasa mama sasa ndio akaona kazi, na asipoenda hatutapata kitu, itabidi tuvumilie. Na bado kuna shughuli za mifugo pia, wadogo hao hajatoka pia, unaangalia pia hapo. So tumekuta sasa sisi wanaume tumekuwa na kazi nyingi nyumbani kwa sababu mama wa kutoka kwenda kwa kazi yao ya kikundi.
Kitambo wasee ndio wanatafuta wamama akaa kwa nyumba, nakamua, naosha hiyo kibuyu yetu ya kukamua maziwa, alafu nafanya kazi yao kwa nyumba. Msee naenda kutafuta jioni na kuja kukula, nafanya kazi ya boma. Yaani siku hizi wamama ndio wanatafuta, wasee siku hizi hakuna kazi. Angalia tu watoto, mbuzi, ile watoto ndogo ya ndama, alafu mimi naenda kutafuta na kuja kukula wote na yeye.
Wanataka mind zao zimepanuka sasa. Wamekuwa na mindset tofauti. Wanataka amke, asimamie wengine, wanataka kwenda mbele, warejeshe zile vikundi kama za walemavu kwao. Naona tu wamebadilika. Hawako kama vile walikuwa.
Zamani ulikuwa unaambiwa kichwa ya nyumba ni nani? Kichwa ya boma. Si ndio? Unaambiwa ni mwanaume. Sasa mimi naona kichwa ya boma ni mwanamke. Kwa nini si kwambia hivyo mtoto wangu? Naona wajukuu wangu anatoka huko, wachija. Anakimbia kuliko aende akamwambie babake nimepokuzwa skuli. Anakimbia hata kama ni kumsalamia, anamsalamia tu kwa kichwa, anakimbia. Kwa nini umekuja mama? Nimepokuzwa ni mwalimu, anaenda kwa mamako. Zamani ilikuwa kuna hiyo.
Sasa hii ukikaa mtoto anakuambia mama siende kushona, nipate chakula. Sasa utabidi utatoka. Anajua mama ametoka, akirudi anaka mfuko ya unga. Hawezi kulala njaa.
Mimi kama mama ninafurahi, maana kama naenda nje kutafuta pesa yangu, nakuja kukula na familia yangu. Nyumba nakuwa mzuri, kama pesa ni nyingi najenga nyumba yangu. Najenga nyumba ya kupanga. Sasa hiyo kazi imekuwa mzuri sana. Naona kwa nyumba yangu iko sawa. Hata kwa familia yangu. Maana kama naweza kupata pesa, hata mamangu naweza kupata kitu kidogo. Ndugu zangu sisi nakula wote.
Maisha yangu sasa hii imebadilika sana. Kwa sababu vile nimeona maisha imebadilika. Watoto wanaenda mbele. Kwa sababu hii pesa ambayo napata naendeleza watoto wangu kwa masomo. Na naendeleza kwa kila kitu, kwa sababu nguo ya shule mimi naendeleza. Sasa hii nimeona mbali sana kwa sababu watoto wameenda shule kubwa sana. Na kwa sababu ya hiyo miradi yangu.
Kule tumetoka tunataka tu hiyo nguo ambayo tumelikuwa tumelalia tuitupe. Tunataka nguo mpya. Tunataka mabadiliko. Ndio tunataka.
According to Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunimbe Mamora, about 18 states in the Federation are still endemic with more than 1,000 new leprosy cases yearly. He explained that the number of new leprosy cases detected yearly has significantly dropped from over 7,827 in 1994 to less than 2,000 in 2020. The Voice of Humanitarian Aid's Foundation took to the streets to march against the ostracization of people affected by leprosy and loud about changing the narrative. At her office, the National Coordinator of Voice of Humanitarian Aid, Franca Emekobum, shared the group's experiences on the field with people affected by leprosy.
Even we that are even speaking up for them, sometimes, it wasn't easy for our families and our friends to even accept, that what we are doing is not risky. They are even afraid to come close to me. They're scared. They say, oh, no. We don't want you and this your leprosy people, please.
Franca maintained that discriminating against the people with leprosy in itself is a deadly disease.
Already they are in pain. Already they are in sorrow. We should not add to that sorrow by discriminating against them. Rather, we should, come together as, people of God, one nation, one love, one family.
Dr. Yohen Akase is the head of infectious diseases at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth. He confirmed that leprosy is not contagious.
With leprosy, the truth of the matter is that over 90% of people, in fact, that's a conservative estimate to be honest, but over 90% of people who get exposed to leprosy are not going to have leprosy. Okay? So yes, it's not such a contagious infectious disease in the context of how we look at contagion, that if somebody has leprosy, touches you, you're going to get leprosy. In fact, it's well known that there are a certain, for lack of a better word, genetic predispositions to getting, not everybody is going to get leprosy, even if they get exposed to that. Picking somebody who has already had a deformity at that time to keep him isolated, apart from the fact that it's not interrupting the chain of transmission, it has, like you said, it entrenches the concept of stigma, denies them of being productive, being rehabilitated and getting on with their lives, living a normal life as possible. And also, generally, doesn't achieve much, to be honest.
Jim Mohammed is a survivor of leprosy. He was affected at the age of 19 when he gained admission into Ahmadu Bello University, but could not continue his studies.
That was 1999, the first time I just detected that I got a leprosy, because I don't even know that it's a leprosy before. I was just told that I have some patches in my body, which I was just think that it's just be a ringworm. They are calling it a lasegedomi. And I went to some people that are selling the herbs, that okay, I need the herbs for this thing, and they give it to me, and I'm using it. After using it, I don't even see any changes. That is why my mom just took me to one herbalist, which we are calling Babalawo, and the man just said that this one is leprosy.
The father of 3 recalled how he battled with discrimination.
During that time, I have some challenges with some maybe neighbors, even in where I'm living with my mom. One of the person that, the owner of the house, because we rented that house by then, we just said that this one we have to take it outside, because his father has house. Definitely you should go to his father's house. Don't let me lie to you. My faith is not solid by then. Because I was just thinking, asking God, why me?
The survivor is the chairman of the Association of People Affected with Leprosy and the PRO of the national body. He is particular about ensuring that nobody with leprosy ends up as a beggar on the streets.
Financial inclusion has been a great challenge across the world, especially in Africa, with great opportunities for financial services on the micro level. The value of point-of-sales transactions made in Nigeria jumped to 3.01 trillion naira in the first half of 2021, with a total volume of 462.11 million transactions in the same period. Now, these represent a 50% increase compared to the 2 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2020 and a 10.3% increase against 2.72 trillion naira recorded in the second half of 2020. However, stakeholders want the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, to stem the rising trend of alleged POS customer data mining, which has led to people's money being stolen from their bank accounts. We will focus on these issues surrounding mobile money operations in Nigeria, the opportunities and the future of it. Welcome to Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, cooking gas price, scarcity of diesel, as well as Nigeria's public debt took center stage in Business Nigeria this week. Take a look.
The Liquefied Petroleum Gas Retailers branch of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers on Wednesday raised the alarm over the recent rise in price of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly called cooking gas. It said the cost of the commodity had been on the increase in the last 2 weeks and urged the government to intervene considering the current energy crisis in Nigeria as seen in the drop in power supply and petrol scarcity. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has warned that the high cost of diesel used by manufacturers in Nigeria is expected to lead to high cost of goods and services due to the high cost of production. According to the group, the development could further deplete the purchasing power on Nigerians, tasking the federal government to reduce the pressure on the manufacturers and the entire population. The federal government has warned that depot owners selling fuel above the approved ex-depot price in filling stations nationwide will be sanctioned. This was announced in a statement by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timothy Silva. He stated that Nigerians are suffering because of the high diesel prices, adding that as a deregulated product, when crude prices are high, diesel prices are expected to rise as well. The Debt Management Office DMO has revealed that Nigeria's total public debt has risen to 39.55 trillion naira as of December 2021. This represents a 1.55 trillion naira or 4.1% increase in 3 months when compared to the 38 trillion naira total public debt that was recorded as of September 2021.
Welcome back. Those were the stories that rounded up on Business Nigeria. Now, the increase in the value of POS transactions in Nigeria shows the spending patterns of Nigerians and payment preferences as compared to cash payments. However, we will talk about some of the issues that came up when AMBAN paid a visit to the House Committee on Banking and Currency, as well as complaints of theft, counterfeited currency, and training for agents. I'm now being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of AMBAN, Oluwasegun Elegbede. Many thanks for joining us on Business Insight and Plus TV Africa, Oluwasegun.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it is a pleasure. Let's just dive straight into it now. There have been talks as regards fake alert, and the House asked the central bank to introduce stringent regulations for POS business. As an association, Ambana, so what's your position on this recently? I know you had a briefing concerning that.
Yes, one of the reasons why we had that press conference was actually to put things into the right perspective. Some of those items that were mentioned in the motion actually not as it is. I would say in the motion it was alleged that POS operators, POS agents do fake alerts. For one, I can tell you that actually POS agents are victims of these fake alerts.
Explain, please.
Because it is the bad element in the public that come around pretending that they need cash. And they'll tell you they don't have their ATM cards with them. They have perfected this cloning of fake alerts. And then most of the time they visit outlets where the owners of these outlets are not there, where they have, we use some staff. Most of them are school SATs holders. So when they visit, the staff will have to call the boss to know if the boss has gotten value for the transfer the customer claims to have made. And then, they do it in such a way that the owner will say to the staff that you can release cash. And then
but why would the owner say they can release cash when they actually haven't gotten alerts?
Because cash, and after they must have left, they discover that this customer has just come to dupe me. They have gone away. So we are actually victims of this crime, as being said at the floor of the House of Assembly by Honorable Olajide Jimoh. We acknowledge the fact that, yes, some of these things happen, but our members are actually victims. Number two that he said is that there are counterfeit notes. Yes, we have received a lot of incident cases from our members across the country where people, they'll come with large sum of money, they want to do quick transfers to get some goods and all of that, and they will wrap, fake notes, just few original ones on the top, and they just guard it somehow, and they use this they put pressure on the owner of the outlet to release cash. And these are things that as Amban we try to train our members for. How to attend to customer, how not to be under pressure, so that you can be in charge, in control. When the customer walks into your outlet, you are not under his control. You need to be very calm in attending to them, so that you can actually get to see if you are collecting a counterfeit note.
Let's talk about the counterfeited bills, for one more minute. And, you talked about how your association, that is Amban, train members on how they need to, be calm so they don't fall victims. So over time, do you also train your members on how to identify these counterfeited bills when they're being presented to them?
Of course, that is one of the we made in our meetings. We try to let them know the true features of the Naira notes, the different denomination, for them to be able to identify. And then we also have been able to get in some supplies of machines, the small ones at very reduced rates that they can even have at the outlets.
Okay.
And to also use to, validate if the notes they are collecting are counterfeited or not. So this is part of what the association is doing.
Okay, well, let's still talk about the sanity in this particular industry or association, as it were. Because if you look at it now, practically every street, every nook and cranny, you go around Nigeria, you see POS operators or agents rather, mounting, their services, operating sometimes at very, secluded places. Sometimes are just umbrellas and chairs. Some do with their regular kiosk. But what is the standard really, and how do you ensure that there is sanity in the system? Because I also hear that you are starting some sort of a task force.
Let me say this: we are in agreement with the House to have some sort of sanity in our industry, in our business space. We are in agreement with them. If there is any stakeholder in this business space that has been clamoring for this enforcement of guidelines, it is AMBAN. And so we are in agreement of that. And let me say this, in the motion, it was also posited that there are no guidelines. Our business is not an happenstance. It was a deliberate effort of the government to cushion the effect of poverty and so to also deepen financial inclusion to the last mile. That was why this sector of the business was created. So having said that, there's a guideline. And so we also are of the opinion that the guideline must be strictly enforced. We understand when this started like 10, 11 years ago, before you can become a mobile money or bank agent, you must have a brick and mortar or kiosk. I mean, an address that is traceable, that if anybody has any issue, they can easily. In fact, at that time, you also would need a letter from the community head or your market leader to also identify you that we know him, because you'll be dealing with the public fund. So what we have today, that we have agents under the umbrella, under the trees, are pure violation of the guidelines. And these are the things that we frown at our level, that if these are not nipped in the bud, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. And so the association wants this enforcement of the guidelines that we have, the framework of the CBN. However, what we don't want is that there shouldn't be any disconnect between the government and we that are really at the last rung of the ladder. We want them to sit with us, let them hear from us so that we can give them the realities that is obtainable out there. They can't just make laws for us when they do not even understand how the business operates. So that is where we are.
Okay. All right, Oluwasegun, I'll take a quick break, but when I come back, I will also need you to, just give us some, clear way to go as regards some gray areas that people have talked about. For instance, there are talks about, the POS merchant, all the surrounding banks, and they allegedly make the ATMs not to work. It's still Business Insight on PlusTvAfrica. We still have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us in the studios. We'll take a quick break and return with more. Do join us again.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Welcome back to Business Insight on TV Africa. We're looking at financial inclusion vis-a-vis the operations of mobile money and, of course, bank agents in Nigeria to ensure sanity, because there have been lots of complaints, concerning the operations. And we have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us here in the studios. So, Oluwasegun, let's talk more concerning that. Is there any truth to the fact that these POS operators, they allegedly, it sounds funny though, they allegedly, make, I don't know, maybe some sort of collaboration, or maybe with bank officials, or I don't know, sometimes you notice that they're always around banks, and somehow the ATMs don't work, and lo and behold, you have the POS agents to your rescue.
Yeah, just like I've said, there are allegations and they are laughable. One of the roles that we have come to play, and then I will say categorically that if all mobile money and bank agents down tools today, the banks cannot handle the traffic that they generate. They cannot. Because
practically most people don't even go for bank for withdrawals or transfers these days.
These days you see people with their shorts just walk out of their room to the nearest outlet to make withdrawals. So the fact is, there are different networks that's the different switches, the banks, ATM, the POS, even with POS A and POS B, there are different switches. You discover that the next outlet will tell you it doesn't have network on its POS terminal. Then you discover that when you go to the next one, you are able to do your transaction. Does it mean the POS here has sabotaged the network of POSB? No. Just like you have for telcos, where you can say there's no network on your own line, and another person will say, I have network here. That is how this operates. It is pure technology. But when you see that people swarm around ATM points, number one, that is even wrong, because you're not supposed to hawk.
Yeah, they're supposed to have the visible locations.
A visible location. You're not supposed to hawk. It is not bread and puff puff. This is financial service. You have to be in a standard location where people come to you, because you must record your transactions. So when you see people walk around, because they know that there's a limit to what they can load in the machines. And then on weekends, most times, the bank staff have gone home. They only come back to check and reload. So at that point, between the time the machine is not dispensing again and the point they are reloaded, that availability gap is what the POS agent that hawk around make use of, or those that even have outlets around the banks. There's nobody sabotaging. The fact is, we have a large population that the banks, as we have them today, cannot cater for.
All right, let's try and understand something else now. You talked about mobile money operators, you talked about bank agents. I would need you to just give a bit of a differentiation between both of them. And then again, is this an all-commerce affair as it is right now? Or because sometimes you find people ordinarily, it's as though practically everywhere you go, you just see people with POS, even those who do other business, they just put the POS on the side, and they also say they are agent as well. So I need you to explain the difference between a mobile money operator and, of course, the bank agent or POS agent, as it were, and how accessible is it to just get the POS? Okay, so there are two set of institutions that are in the are playing in the field. We have the bank-led and the non-bank-led. The bank-led, you have some banks who have the core agency banking structure. They have it. I don't want to begin to mention names. Then you also have the non-bank-led, the MMOs, who also have the license to operate as a player in the industry. So you can get provided by any of these set of institutions. That is one. Number two, it is not an all-commerce affair. It is just because of the enforcement of the framework and guidelines that we're talking about that is not really in place. And that's why we, as an association, are talking about self-regulation, because we see that things are going down the drain, and we know what efforts some of the pioneers of this business have put in, and we do not want that to go to waste. So it is not an all-commerce affair. Number one, you need to have a visible location. You need to be known.
Of course, it's like you're opening a bank account. All the requirements of opening a bank account are required for you to supply it, to have a provider with any of the institutions that you have chosen. But then, of course, there has to be spacing. What we have today is that you see agents cluster around a small area in a place where you just have 50
They seem to be so
residents.
localized.
I mean, one person is serving that 50 people. Then you see that in the next 2 months, another 5 has come. The customers are not increasing.
So how does Amban ensure that that does not happen?
That is what the task force that we have inaugurated now, it's going to ensure across the nation. The task force is going to begin to go out. We piloted this last year in Oyo State, and we saw the result. We went out and we saw that many of these agents are just operating. They don't have any record of any kind. And these are things that are just primary requirements. As an agent, you must have your record book where you record your transactions. If anything happens in 2018, then you go back to your record, open it, and I mean, it has saved a lot of people. But what you find out today is that even transaction of yesterday, some agents will tell you they don't have any record for it.
So invariably, they should be keeping records of every transaction.
Every transaction. Any type of transaction, because in transaction, we mean withdrawal, we mean deposit, we mean bill payments.
Okay.
So all of these have to be in a proper book with the dates. And that is how you are able to also track your own fund to know if you are making profit or not. So you don't just get into the business just to throw away money. That is what majority of the people are doing out there.
All right. But I know this in so many ways, has helped a lot of unemployed youths, because practically I've heard a school of thought say that most times they just want to meet target, and also they just go about giving POS randomly. Is this true?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not banks alone now. Yeah, the MMOs too.
Okay, the mobile money operators.
If there are people that really have this nonchalance attitude to our approach to enforce the guidelines, I mean, there are some players who will tell their agents, being their principal, they will tell them, don't join Amban. And we are telling them, we are not in competition with you. It is for us to have sanity in the business space so that everybody will be fine. Now, if all of us come together, as everybody in the value chain come together, we understand the problems that we have, and we see to how we can resolve all of this and have a better business space, better for us. We cannot say, and in all of this, they invest more. And there were times gone by where, some of them were observing these guidelines.
Okay.
But when they saw that some people were not doing same, they joined the fray. I mean, it's now like Banana Republic. That is what we are saying. That is why we are saying we do not want this kind of situation.
All right. We just believe and hope that in a matter of time, a very small time, that these issues that would be adequately addressed, and all of this insanity that we find in this particular sector will be completely be done with over time. And we must say a very big thank you to you as well for finding time to join us to look at all of these issues.
Thank you for having me.
All right, indeed, we have been speaking with Oluwasegun Elegbede. He is the National Public Relations Officer of AMBAN, which is the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria. Now, that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadunye. Let's do it again next time. Bye for now.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshuke.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Thanks for joining us on Plus News Update. I'm Loretta Chiogo. The Kaduna State Security Agency saved lives and he urged residents in the area to defend themselves against the bandits. Earlier, we received a report that gunmen in Imo State have threatened to cause mayhem if residents disobey the sit-at-home order of IPOB. We were also told that schools and offices have shut down in some areas of the state. Eke Chimezie, a social commentator resident in Owerri, the Imo State capital, spoke to Plus TV News.
This now is time for our security apparatus, the Nigerian police and every apparatus of the nation to look into the situation, have a serious investigation. Because I think investigation needs to be employed at this point in time to understand and be able to find out those behind this unknown government. Because if you are talking about IPOB issuing a statement that there is no longer sit at home, and another set of people in the name of unknown government carrying those statements out. So we should be able to find out, let there be investigation, thorough investigation to find out who these people are. Meanwhile, as a person, as the president of Southeast Spiritual Rights, we condemn in its entirety the unleashing of terror at the residence of the Ohaneze Ndibo president, Professor Opiozo. So we condemn it as Ndibo that we are not known for violence. We are people who are known for negotiation, dialogue. So at this point in time, whatever be the case, that are covering themselves in the name of unknown government should come out and open and tell us what they want.
And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has granted the former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, an administrative bail. However, EFCC's chairman, Abdurrashid Bawa, mentioned that Obiano was still in its custody as he was yet to meet his bail conditions. A federal high court in Abuja has struck out the motion filed by the sacked Governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, seeking a stay of execution of the judgment it gave on March 8th. Justice Inyang Eko struck out the motion after the counsel to Umahi and his deputy Kelechi Igwe prayed the court for the withdrawal of the motion, which was not opposed by the lawyer to the People's Democratic Party, Emmanuel Lukala. The judge, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. In a judgment delivered by Justice Taiwo, the court held that the lawmakers needed to vacate their seats since they had abandoned the party which brought them to power. This is a developing story and we'll bring you details as they keep coming. Edo State government has raised its voice over insinuations that it has banned open grazing in the state. The Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Osarodion Ogeye, explained that members of the State House of Assembly were yet to conclude the legislation on the bill seeking to criminalize open grazing. As such, the bill has not become a law, while concerned individuals and groups have been advised to go ahead and make their contributions before it is passed by the lawmakers. The SSG called on those who have reservations about any section of the bill to channel their grievances to the appropriate quarters. And coming up next is Street Views. Nigerians express concerns about the continued bloodletting in the country.
Sincerely, the issue is getting out of hand, that nobody is secure, the children, the community, the parents and others. And then you are not finding it easy. The business has been affected, education has been affected, and I feel we have to wake up, and then the government number one, and then the citizen and other communities.
It's rather unfortunate with the rate of...
In curtailing the menace of insecurity that affects so many. People have been made to be homeless. Villages have been disastered due to the current insecurity the state government or the villagers are facing.
The government should bring in the desired will, the political will to take care of this security. It will be taken care of.
I think it's up to 6 months. I can't sleep in my own house. 6 months I can't sleep in my own house. Visiting friends to sleep, you can't even sleep in your own house. So seriously, we are praying. I think we're praying that God should come and intervene in this situation, and even the governments again, let them try and do something on it.
I think it's that time the president walk the talk. You understand the kind of thing? It's enough of all this giving orders without commensurate results, considering the amount of money that we have spent on issue of insecurity across the country.
Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa has wrapped up a 3-day trip to Mozambique with a visit to 2 units of the European Union training mission in the country. Rebelo de Sousa said that resolving the conflict in Cabo Delgado in the north of Mozambique remained a priority for Portugal and the European Union. He stressed the need for Mozambique to guarantee the security of the people and defeat terrorism. Outside Africa, the Kremlin has said that peace talks between Russia and Ukraine have not yet made any significant progress. Speaking to reporters on a conference call, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said significant progress in the talks still had to be made for there to be a basis for a possible meeting between President Vladimir Putin and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. Moscow had accused Kyiv of stalling peace talks by making proposals unacceptable. Ukraine said it is willing to negotiate but will not surrender or accept Russia's ultimatum. Peskov also reiterated claims that Russia was showing more willingness than Ukrainian negotiators in working towards an agreement. And on the flip, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who has been trying to mediate in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, says issues. Bennett adds that Israel, in his words, together with other friends in the world, will continue trying to bridge the gap and bring an end to the war, end of quote. In business news, Nigeria imported durum wheat worth 1.29 trillion naira in 2021. That's representing a 71.1% increase compared to 756.92 billion naira recorded in the previous year. And that's more than triple the 401.31 billion naira recorded in 2019. This is based on Nigeria's foreign trade data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. According to the NBS report, durum wheat imports accounted for 6.2% of the total import bill recorded in the review year, and that's representing the second highest contributor to Nigeria's import bill and the highest imported food item. Durum wheat is a variety of spring wheat that is typically ground into semolina and used to make pasta, couscous, bulgur, noodles, and bread. In entertainment news, singer Simi has become the first Nigerian female artist to reach 100 million streams on Audio Mac. She was elated for the historical achievement on the popular global music streaming platform. The Duduke singer expressed gratitude for the honor, praising God and fans for the accomplishment. Audio Mac is leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the supporters trooped to the Mobala G. Johnson Arena at the Onikon Stadium to witness a novelty match by ex-Nigerian internationals and Lagos All-Stars in commemoration of Tinubu's 70th birthday coming up later in the month. The match featured JJ Okocha, Kanu Nwankwo, Peter Rufai, and politicians across the country. Our correspondent Paul George reports.
From the tunnel to the main bowl of the stadium, the atmosphere is full of excitement as fans eagerly wait to catch a glimpse of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is set to celebrate his 70th in a few weeks. Kitted in the colors of the national team with jersey number 10, he walks into the pitch. The match begins as ex-Super Eagles stars play against a selected Lagos All-Stars to honor the former governor and the national leader of All Progressives Congress. Victor Agali scores a brace to give the ex-internationals a 2-0 victory against Lagos All-Stars. Former Nigeria Super Eagles internationals Ike Shorumu and Taribo West shower encomiums on the APC leader.
That's to see the crowd that came out today to support our Asiwaju of Lagos and Baba Tinubu himself. And again, to what he has done to Lagos State. I'm going to appreciate him to come so much with our ex-players.
If we look far back from Taribo West and friends, Kanu Nwankwo Foundation, JJ Okocha Testimonial, Peter Rufai Academy, there is no life that he has not affected. So if he calls any one of us any day, any time, we'll make ourselves available. And in the process of that, behind that, if he has a visionary to become the next president of Nigeria, I see no problem about it by including us to just celebrate this 78th year of his time and season of birth. It's a great aspect to be around and also to celebrate with this great icon.
Plus TV News catches up with Joe Igbokwe, former Lagos State APC spokesperson. He takes the conversation away from the pitch to the forthcoming general elections.
We are celebrating our leader. This is in preparation of his 70th birthday. And you know, it's a milestone. And you know what is at stake.
So we are using every opportunity to celebrate him. That's what is happening here today. I'm waiting for who is going to face Achiwaju. They are running, they are hiding. You know, in my village, there are masquerades, small ones. There's also a Nigerian masquerade, the biggest masquerade in Igbo land. When it is not in the field, other small masquerade will just be playing. Once that Nigerian masquerade comes out, all the small ones will disappear.
The man of the moment ends the event with a wave while his well-wishers echo their support for his presidential bid. Paul Joel, Plus TV News.
And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Loretta Chiogo.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Urinary tract infection is simply infection of the urinary tract. So the body is divided into systems. And of course, you have, just like you have the digestive system, neurologic system, you have the urinary tract or urinary system, which is made up of the kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra. Okay, these four parts form the urinary system. Any infection in any part of the system is what we simply call the urinary tract infection. Basically, every infective organism can cause urinary tract infection. The most common ones are your bacteria, your fungi, and viruses. You have virus infections that can cause urinary tract infection. You have fungi that can cause, especially in immunocompromised individuals. For an example, people on high levels of suppressants, immunosuppressants, or high levels of chemotherapies, or patients who have come down with retroviral infections. Then, in very common cases, are bacterial infections that cause urinary tract infection, which are the common ones that we see. So you have things like streptococcus, you have things like H. influenza, you have things like E. coli. In worst cases, you have Klebsiella, and of course, all of these bacteria can actually cause urinary tract infection. When they affect the different levels of the body, they have their different symptoms. So some of them get as far as the kidneys, cause things like pyelonephritis, and it further goes down to damaging symptoms. Okay, so it can be caused by bacteria, fungi, viruses are the commonest one. Protozoas can also cause it, and sometimes worms infections. 5 major steps actually preventing urinary tract infections. Number 1 is maintaining a good hygiene. Hygiene has been seen to be implicated in urinary tract infections, and if you are not very careful with, especially with the underwears, you can recurrently cause urinary tract infection. And then, of course, with the areas of sanitation, the restrooms are very implicative. And even in, partners, maybe a hypo, a sanitizer, as it were, or a jig, a detergent, and sometimes even iron. Okay, the reason for iron is to give the heat if you don't want to discard completely. All right. Other prevention mechanisms includes proper dieting. Okay. When we eat right, we prevent a lot of things. Sometimes when we do a lot of sugar, you provide a habitable environment for these microbes to grow. All right. A lot of sugar. Yeah. Sometimes we even think that high protein diets are very effective, but no, you further even provide, because you see, in improper dieting, you alter the pH of the body. This pH of the body is what is responsible for the maintaining a proper environment that organisms does not grow. When you distort it, certain organisms now begin to thrive in places where they're not supposed to thrive. The third thing is water, hydration, good level of hydration, okay, keeps us consistently cleansed out. The fourth one is, it's been said that especially in women, they ought to clean from front to back. Rather, yes, from front to back, not from back to front. Okay, that's the proper way of cleaning. And then there's been some drinks that have been used in, especially berry drinks, cranberry drinks, have been very effective in the GI. So if you have drinks that have the cranberry or berry nectar, you have a good chance of preventing it. Some other ways of preventing: regular testing, you can prevent your urinary tract infections. Yeah. The symptoms of urinary tract infections includes a recurrent urge to want to use the restroom. You have that recurring, and sometimes it could be very little amount of urine that could come out. You could have burning sensation in the process of urinating. You could have, itchiness. You could have cloudy urine. Sometimes discolored urine that could either be red or dark coke colored and all that. And then one other thing, pain, especially high levels of infertility when it's not properly treated. The bad part of urinary tract infection is that it takes a quiet stage and right there in the body, and many people walk away, especially guys, especially men. They feel that they're good, and so it takes a quiet stage, and then over time it's the cause of, or they become transmitters. Then the women eventually are the ones who come down with the symptoms, but they or never come down with the symptoms at all, and then life is good. The treatment plan for urinary tract infections can last for more than 2 weeks. It's important that you do not prescribe or you do not recommend yourself many of these roadside drugs that people do, especially when you hear things like staph aureus and stuff. No, none of that is just very unacceptable. In the treatment of urinary tract infections, you get tested first and you get drugs that are sensitive to these infections. Now, for some reasons, when adequate doses of these drugs are not taken, especially to completion, like I said to you, many times the treatment could last for as much as 2 weeks because of the level for where they are. The urinary tract infection is one of the lowest parts of the body. Injections first, and then you complete the dosage with a couple of tablets that are sensitive to the organism. Whenever there is recurrence of urinary tract infection, it's important that you pay attention to hygiene. Check hygiene levels very importantly, and that simply means that you may want to discard all underwears and replace them. Have proper baths. Just pay more attention. Number one, you never treat urinary tract infections without trying to treat your partner. It's important that you check out your partner especially when it is one partner. Okay, if it's multiple partners, you just have to do something about that. All right. Okay, but then you want to also pay attention to your partner. The second and the third important thing is to check your fluid balance and all the other exogenous things you take. Now, when you're treating with the drugs, I recommend that you do injections first and then you do orals. Many times orals don't get as deep and as far as what the injections will do. So even
Moka, I am not a fan of Mondays, but today I'm a fan. Too many things have happened. But let me start with the fact that the 2012 edition of the Benue State Secondary School Basketball League, organized by retired Colonel Samuel Amedu, led Basketball Association, came to an end, with the 3 schools coming up in the league. Now, Mount Saint Cathedral Secondary School Makurdi emerged overall best in the boys category, while Christ Apostolic Secondary School Makurdi topping the female category. Speaking to sports journalists after the completion, the sponsor and general manager of Radio Nigeria Harvest FM, Makurdi Christy Ude Ukpachu, lamented the absence of politicians.
Something worth emulating. It is something worth supporting. It is something worth sponsoring. So other media houses should come on board. Let's give this tournament the kind of publicity it deserves.
This kind of competition is very, very